Yo, so people, we are going to talk about Black Zombie. Yes, this is the brand new film from Maya Annik Bedward, who writes and directs. Maya also produces the film along with Hannah Dungan, Asia. It is executive produced by Michael Pazat, Andrew Thomas Hunt, Jennifer Holness, James Fleur, with associate production from Jay Cheel, along with Giorgio Rodriguez. David Akuris handles the score. Jay Chill is also on editing duties along with Peter Denz, Lawrence Jackman, and Avril Jacobson. Okay, Jelena Lewis was the visual researcher. I think that's all the information on the IMBD. Let's see if anyone else was involved. Oh my gosh. Yes, cinematography was handled by Duravad Monajim and Ricardo Diaz. Luke Mistruzzi is production design. Yeah, okay. I think that's all of those things. Now, the film we feature, right? There's a lot of conversations with a lot of very, right? So we have Deze Bontanica, Zandashi Brown, Tanarive Du, Yves-Grégory Francis, Errol Juice, Anderson Majika, Tom Savini. We have Slash, right? Which is fascinating. Wade Davis also. Gist of this, right? So, a journey through cinema and history reveals how zombies evolved from Haitian spiritual traditions into Hollywood horror, exploring their deeper cultural significance as powerful symbols of resilience. Man, you know what I mean? This was such an interesting doc, right? It's Maya's feature documentary debut as well. And whoa, right? It's broken into these different kind of chapters, as it were. And each one breaks down this different kind of aspect of, right? This thing that's oftentimes been maligned, right? Misconstrued, just all of these kind of different elements that we get, right? Which is really helpful, you know what I mean? Because you think anyone that doesn't know anything about any of these topics and subjects, right? It's put together in a way that's easy for people to digest and get their heads around, you know? And it's that tie-in, right? Looking at the relationship between Haiti and voodoo and zombies, which, you know, like people go zombies, that's Haitian, that's witchcraft, that's black magic, right? And it's not. You know what I mean? Like all the things that you were told about voodoo back in the day just aren't true. The weird depictions that we see, again, not true, right? Everything is being, I wouldn't say even it's been misconstrued, right? There's people that were just lying, right? Lied. And we get into all of that, right? There's a guy, George Sewell, who was a adventurer, you know what I mean? Back in the day, right? One of these people like Lewis and Stevenson's, you know, that type, supposedly. But, you know, they go somewhere and they come back and write a book and tell everyone about their adventures and what they saw and all of this. But here's the thing. We are just going off of their word, right? And there was no pushback. This guy just telling everyone, oh, yes, they're possessing me. You know, they're doing all of this stuff, this black magic, and I saw this, and blah, 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 blah. And everyone's just eating it up, believing what it is, right? Which is bonkers. Bonkers when you think about it. But so we have these origins, right? Well, the fake origins of the ridiculousness, what Hollywood has told us, right? We see the origins of that. But then of what it really is, you know? And the you know, Haiti and the, you know, the Haitian, we speak to a lot of Haitian people and they're talking about what this actually means to them, right? What this actually is for them, you know? And we even touch upon something that I didn't know about for ages, right? I forget how I learned about it. I know I talked about it on an episode of Echoes from the Void, right? But because what I talked about was the fact that for years, for decades, Haiti had to pay France for the fact that they got their independence. Right? How bonkers is that? You know what I mean? Like, our peoples were subjugated. They got their independence, and then they have to pay because of that. What kind of bullshit is that, right? It's bonkers, straight bonkers. But that happened, people. And it was I think it was maybe during the pandemic or just before, right? That France were like, okay, you don't have to pay us this money anymore. I think it was probably after George Floyd, right? And then France were like, oh, you don't have to pay us this money anymore. But I just remember the fact that it wasn't, I can't believe that, you know, a previous administration put this in place. We are so sorry. Look, from the records, it shows you paid this. We're going to pay it back to you. Right? We didn't hear that. We didn't hear that, which is crazy. But we touch upon that revolution, that uprising, right? That line in the sand of defiance, and the fact that voodoo helped bring that about. It's such a fascinating documentary, right? Growing up, I remember watching Live and Let Die, right? And you've got the I forget the guy's name, like Baron, right? Some Brother Voodoo. I forget what they called him in the thing. But then you learn the persona he is embodying isn't what the film showed you it to be. It's meant to be, he's a guide, right? He's a guide. So, you watch James Bond, part of this big franchise, which, you know what I mean? They just sold it for a heap of change to Amazon. But even in that film, lied. And you just think the finances that they had, right? They could have done research. They could have found out about what this is. And they didn't. Maybe they knew, but they just were like, you know what? The narrative, this looks better, right? This helps our cause. You have James fighting against this evil. You know what I mean? But that's, there's so much of that. So much of showing that voodoo is black magic and all of this, when there's certain things we know. Think of things such as capoeira, right? So Brazilian martial arts, that they pretended to be a dance so they could practice it, right? I forget where it was, but on some plantations, slaves weren't able to marry. So they, instead of having the ceremony in a certain way, people would jump the broom, right? Where that expression came from. I mean, I think I learned, there's a film back in the day came out called Jump the Broom, and I was like, yo, what? I don't understand what this is. And then I looked and was like, yo, right? So there's all of these things that came from subjugation. And this is another one of them, right? But, you know what I mean? Like having to practice at night, having to, do things in the shadows. It's not because it's sinister, right? It's not because it's devil worship. It's because you were killed, right? If you were caught practicing, you were killed. Think about that, right? Think about that. No one is demonized really for being Christian in this day and age. You feel me? But there's all these other things that you can get demonized for being, which is so ridiculous, right? And Maya does this fantastic job of putting this all together, you know what I mean? Letting you understand the journey of this thing, right? Just the whole thing about zombies, right? And how is it like this mindless, sinister being? And how then that changed to the blood, flesh, brains eating version, but how it is still, trenched in this original ridiculousness, right? How things like The Living Dead, George Romero's film started this change and showed like different aspects of zombies and stuff like that, right? And it's funny because we just had, Danny Boyle. Yeah, no, it is Danny Boyle, isn't it? Yeah. Just bring back his 28 Days franchise, right? We had 28 years later last year, 28 years The Bone Temple this year, Zombies are a big, The Last of Us. Everyone's talking about that, right? Zombies are huge, but they are this weird, bastardization of, what Haitians know of as zombies. The whole salt thing was fascinating, right? A fascinating little nugget from the doc, but makes so much sense, right? If you were forbidden this thing, it would signify freedom, right? That would signify freedom, but you weren't allowed it, right? That, which is crazy. Just think, not being allowed salt. Yo. So yeah, so it would be a freedom, a release, which is just like, yo, when you hear that, it makes so much sense. But yo, we just didn't know these things. You know what I mean? So it is, man, just hearing from just all the people that, she found to talk on this was just really great, right? Really great. Like, Zandasha Brown was so interesting. You know what I mean? Just talking about how she came to voodoo and what she does as a filmmaker and telling stories from the Black diaspora and all of that, right? Man, I think this is such a fascinating. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that I think should come to schools, right? It should definitely be seen en masse. It's so important. It's so well done, and it lays out so much information that we should know. You know what I mean? We should know all of this. I love this stuff. Why isn't it in schools? You know what I mean? Why aren't they trying to correct the misleading bullshit that has been, you know what I mean, apostolized through Hollywood and other things all these years, you know? So, yeah, people, you definitely should check out Black Zombie. It's having its world premiere at South by Southwest, which is huge, right? To be able to showcase there, that's incredible, right? I will also check to see where else it was playing. So all of that information I will put on the webpage of this episode. But yeah, people, man, you definitely do need to check out Black Zombie, right? It is, I mean, listen, if you're into history, if you're into culture, if you just like zombies, this is something that you all should just see. You should all see. It's valuable, it's important, and apart from all of that, it is extremely well done, right? The only thing about this that I would change, it is just the subtitles not having a solid background, right? That's the only thing. You know what I mean? Apart from that, golden work, people. So if you get the opportunity, I highly recommend that you go check out Black Zombie, and definitely keep an eye out for Annik Bedward's future work, because hey, what she did on this, I'm there for that journey. So yeah, people, check out Black Zombie, check out Annik Bedward. Definitely do that, people. Definitely do that.